Welcome to the full council meeting for July 2024. And I'm going to pass over to John, Chief Executive Officer, for notice of and summons of the meeting, attendance and apologies.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, members. To all members of Derry City and Strabane District Council, you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of the Council to be held in the Council Chamber, Guildhall, Derry, Wednesday the 24th of July at 2 o'clock. Starting members as normal with the attendance register. Alderman Cook.
Here, John.
Alderman Guy. Alderman Hussey.
Aye.
Alderman Carrigan.
Here, John.
Alderman McMorris.
Here, John.
Alderman Middleton.
Here, John.
Alderman Montgomery. Yep. Alderman Wilkinson.
Here, John.
Apologies received from Councillor Jason Barr, Councillor Lillian Barr, Councillor Raymond Barr,
Here, John.
Councillor Bogs,
Shaw, John.
Councillor Boyle, Councillor Clark,
Shaw.
Councillor Cusick,
Here.
Councillor Deeney,
He's running a wee bit late, John.
Councillor Devine,
Shaw.
Councillor Donnelly, Councillor Alex Duffy,
Shaw.
Councillor Sandra Duffy,
Apologies.
Councillor Farrell,
Here.
Councillor Fleming,
And Shaw.
Councillor Gallagher,
Shaw.
Councillor Harkin, Councillor Hart,
And Shaw.
Councillor Heaney,
And Shaw.
Councillor Hutton,
And Shaw.
Councillor Jackson, Councillor Leonard,
Shaw. And Shaw.
Councillor Logue, Councillor McDade,
Here.
Councillor McGinley,
Shaw.
Councillor McHugh, Councillor Mooney, Councillor Murphy, Councillor Norris,
Here.
Councillor O'Farrell,
John.
Councillor Riley. Apologies received from Councillor Tierney and Councillor Anelis.
Shaw.
Thank you, members. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, John. I would now like to remind everyone present at this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeating viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. If you are seated in the lower public seating or media areas, it is possible that the recording cameras will capture your image, and this will result in the possibility that your image will become part of the broadcast. By entering the council chamber and using the press or lower public sitting area, you are consenting to being filmed and consenting to the use and storage of these images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. If you wish to avoid this, you should move to the upper public gallery. A copy of the council privacy notice may be found on the council website. Okay, members, moving to the declaration of members' interest. If you want to declare now or throughout the meeting, anyone would like to declare now? Okay, if you get to where you think you have a declaration of interest to make, just please indicate and we will note that. The next agenda item is chairperson business, and I have a couple of people who have contacted me throughout the week, and I will bring you in accordance to the way I received your emails. But before that, can I just say that I will be inviting everybody else really to work with me today so that we can handle this meeting in a timely manner. I have one item I would like to talk about, and that is the Foyle Cup. I want to congratulate every single organizer and the players and the families for an amazing show throughout the week. I had the opportunity of welcoming them to the Guildhall, and the buzz was just incredible. It was my first experience, and I really enjoyed it. I also went to the finals, which was amazing, and just to congratulate even officers within our council and all of them who are working. They really worked diligently to ensure that the Foyle Cup was successful. I do know that there are a bit of issues when it comes to parking, but I think everything else went really smoothly. So I just wanted to put that on record, and our congratulations to them. Yes, Councillor Jackson.
Mayor, and I was planning to bring this in over onto the minutes, but you've rightfully brought it up now. Again, just want to echo your sentiments in relation to congratulating everybody that's been involved in the Foyle Cup, including those within council that have supported the event and have supported the event for many years. The Foyle Cup is a fixture within our calendar, and it's something that the young people of the city and district look forward to. For many months in the lead up to the Foyle Cup, there's a lot of preparation that goes into it, not only in terms of the organisers, but for the participants as well. So it culminates in a fantastic event, which I've no doubt that many of us have been to matches cheering on teams and commiserated with those that weren't successful this year round. But Mayor, I know council have provide a lot of in-kind support to the Foyle Cup, and I would request that a report is brought back to the relevant committee, possibly Health and Communities, just to quantify exactly how much support the Foyle Cup receives from this council, because there's a lot of negative publicity in relation to this, and a lot of misinformation that's been circulated. I think our council's commitment to supporting of the Foyle Cup cannot be in question, and it's just to help inform us as members, just to quantify exactly how much support this council provides a fantastic event for all those that are involved in it. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor, and I would echo that. I think we had a conversation in-house about that, and I think it is in excess of £90,000 in total, but I agree that it is important. We have a report on that. I saw the comments on social media, but the council has contributed quite a substantive amount of cash and also in-kind support, and I'm sure that officers will be happy to provide that. Okay, Councillor McDade.
Thank you, Chair. And I would fully agree with what Councillor Jackson and yourself have just said. I think there's a lot of negativity at times, and I think it was supposed to be maybe directed at tourism NI, but it was coming our way. So maybe just that clarity for us so we can actually stand over and say, no, this is what we're providing. But I just want to congratulate all the organisers and all the children who took part. I mean, it was my first year there as a mammy, and I did talk about it at committee, so I'll not say it again. But I don't know about the Waynes, but I had a migraine the whole week. It was so stressful watching them and watching them lose and watching them win. But it was really amazing, and especially now seeing how many girls teams there are. And I think that that's already starting to double. And if we could have a girls team in every year, it would be unbelievable just for women in sport as well. So I just want to congratulate all the organisers, all the teams, the coaches, the referees. They were all really amazing. My wee boy's only 7, and the care and love that the referees gave to those wee boys was second to none as well. So just thanks again for it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I think everybody would agree that the Foyle Cup is a stunning spectacle, and Council's commitment to that fantastic tournament cannot be questioned. But Councillor McDade has mentioned, the issue of the funding available from tourism NI, which is zero, and the Foyle Cup had 2 unsuccessful applications to that body for the last 2 years. We know, and everybody in this council, anybody that has witnessed the Foyle Cup fully understands the benefit to this city and district, the economic benefit to this city and district, the benefit to tourism. It'd be great if tourism NI shared that view. So while we agree that there should be a paper that comes to H&C in the future, if we could have something in the paper about how we can support or guide the Foyle Cup in terms of fine-tuning their applications to tourism NI, because there needs to be support from central government for this, and any help or guidance or feedback we can give should help that cause. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure that will be done. Yeah. Okay, Alderman Hussain.
Thank you, Mayor, and I echo all of the sentiments that have been expressed around the competition. It was particularly pleasing to have this competition as a council-wide event, or events, I should say. I know the events went on in my own area. They went on in other areas throughout the entire district. And I suppose we also have to thank, as well as the organisers, those other clubs who opened their grounds for use of the competition. I thank Councillor Jackson for his suggestion, and I think it's an excellent suggestion that we get that information. And Councillor Foyle, the issue of Northern Ireland tourism, I find galling, to be quite honest, that an event of this size cannot garner support from Northern Ireland tourism. Clearly, it's an event that brings immense tourist benefit to this area and has to be supported. And further to looking at how we can investigate, how we can help the Foyle Cup organisers in their application. Could I propose that we also would seek a meeting of a delegation of councillors with Northern Ireland Tourism to find out why not? Why not? Why do they not support the Foyle Cup? I think we have to meet them face to face and, say to them how we as local councillors in their area feel about the competition and describe to them the benefit that it brings to the entire district council area. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? I'm happy to. Yeah. John Boyle, thank you. Alderman McMorris.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. And can I also echo my congratulations to all of the organisers within the Foyle Cup. It was a tremendous event, and I know there was a multitude of more teams that joined this year than previous years, and going by what I've seen and heard of it, I'm sure that there's not much more room for growth unless we start booking pitches in Belfast and everywhere else. But I know that there was issues regarding parking. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to any of the matches because of my own health last week, and thankfully I have no children that age either. But I do live beside one of the venues, and so I know the crowds that was gathering at them, and also know the experience of the parking. I agree wholeheartedly what people were saying about tourism NI. I know we've discussed this in Health and Communities on previous occasions, and it is terrible that they're not stepping up to marking regarding one of the biggest events in this city. And I know everywhere was booked out, and I know people that own Airbnbs, and they were just under pressure too, trying to fulfill people that they come to our city. So I don't see how they can say that it's not one of the biggest events for our city under tourism. But again, also would like to echo the thanks to all of the council workers that was involved in it. I know regarding the experience of the staff within Waterside Shared Village and stuff, they went over and above to try and facilitate the matches, especially when there was a summer scheme running on there, so there was kind of issues. But the commitment from the staff within council is a tremendous benefit in kind to this thingy, and sometimes the staffing level that's used towards it isn't counted as a financial contribution towards it. You know what I mean? So I would be interested just to kind of make sure that even if we're counting a monetary amount that goes to the Foyle Cup, we need to put in the provision there for the staffing levels that was assigned to it, and also dedicated to arranging pitches and different things. So, but again, congratulations on the success of the event to everybody, and we're welcome to see it every year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Raymond Barr.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to be associated with all the previous comments. As Alderman Hussey says, the Foyle Cup's a fantastic event which benefits the whole district. And I hope it goes from strength to strength. And I think we should be doing all our power to make sure that happens.
Thank you. And lastly, Councillor Cusack.
Thank you. I've lost count of the amount of times I've spoken about the Foyle Cup in this chamber, advocated for it and supported it, I think for over 13 years now, and I did have the pleasure and the honour of speaking at one of their openings 13 years ago. So every year on year it's got bigger and bigger, as we all know. Don't need to repeat all that, but again, the funding is an issue, and just as recent as a couple of months ago, I did in this chamber also urge for Tourism NI to reconsider their rejection of the funding for this incredible event. I work directly opposite one of the pitches. I've seen all the fantastic games, the atmosphere, the excitement. I've also witnessed the hazardous parking that is associated with that, some of the fantastic attitudes of the people working there, and some of the really poor attitudes of people that attended it. So, there's good and bad that comes with it, but that only goes because of the success and the growth with the event. So I want to thank everybody involved. We're remiss not to. I want to thank all the council workers, most of all the organisers, and everybody that came to enjoy it, the children, their parents, organisers, referees. I mean, the list goes on, but again, hopefully next year they'll get more funding, they'll get more support, and we'll have better organisation for those attending. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Councillor Bogs.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. All of the congratulations have been offered by my colleagues and others, and of course I'll lend my voice to that. But I was actually just reflecting on when I was a young footballer, and it's a fair old while ago now, Mayor, as I'm sure everybody appreciates. But back when I was a teenager in the 70s, 80s, there were no tournaments for young people to play in. There was no Foyle Cup, there was no Super Cup, there was no Milk Cup, there was no cup of any sort for any young people to play in. I recall going to tournaments, and actually went to tournaments with guys who ended up playing very senior football. Unfortunately, I wasn't good enough for that. In Scotland and England and Germany and Wales, but there were none here. And I think that's something that's important for us all to reflect upon, that we have the Foyle Cup here, we have the Super Cup this week in Causeway Coast. It's great, it's brilliant to see. It's great to see actually that Donegal came in with us, Causeway Coast came in with us. It's not just simply the Foyle Cup as in the city now. It extends, as Alderman Hussey says, all the way down to Castle Derrick and possibly beyond. And it was actually just Alderman Hussey's proposal that got me thinking about that. And I thought, we've come a long way, and we really just need to be meeting with people like Tourism NI to say to them just how far we've come, and that they really should be putting their shoulder to the wheel along beside of all of us. Because it's not too long ago when our kids couldn't play football in a tournament of this nature anywhere. Coleraine, Derry, Ballymoney, Ballymena, Castle Derrick, anywhere. So I wanted to speak on it because I seconded Alderman Hussey's proposal, and that's the reason that we have to second these things and support these things, because we need these people to realise that if they don't push in behind these things, then they're always going to be at risk. And none of us, I'm sure none of us here, want to see events like the Foyle Cup being at risk. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. I think it's certainly an international match now, and it certainly requires a lot of help. So thank you. Thank you, members. Okay, moving on to the next person who contacted me is Councillor Bogs, and I will allow you to do your 2 items at the same time. Thank you.
Mayor, sorry. The first item, Mayor, that I want to deal with is just in relation to the ongoing case around Noah Donoghue. And it's been talked in this chamber before, so I won't go over everything again, but I think everybody can agree that the death and disappearance, or the disappearance and death of Noah, and the investigation, or what we can call of it as an investigation, has angered the Donoghue family and also the wider public, and that's been demonstrated in this chamber before. In 2022, I brought a motion to our own party's ardation, followed up with a proposal in this chamber calling on the then Secretary of State to rescind the use of a PAI in the case of Noah Donoghue. And I think it's timely again now, following the formation of a new British government in Westminster, that we call again as a council on Hilary Benn MP, the new British Secretary of State, to try and instill some breath of confidence into the investigation, which I think is lacking for the family and for the community more broadly. So I have sent a proposal to the committee section asking that we write to him and that we ask him to both review the case and also to rescind the use of a public interest immunity certificate to ensure that the fight for truth and justice for Noah and his family continues in a more confident manner, Mayor.
Thank you. I'm more than happy to second that. We've had that conversation many occasions in this council, and the position of this council is very clear. So very happy for that to go ahead. Is there anyone who will be against that? I've seconded. Yeah. Everyone is happy, right? Okay, perfect. Moving on to your second one.
Second one, very briefly, Mayor, and thank you for your indulgence, is just to mark the sad passing of Danny Gallagher in Strabane, who there has been a huge outpouring of grief and support for his family over the last number of days since he passed away at the start of the week. For those who don't know, Danny was a employee with council and just recently marked 20-year service with the council, and I think it's important that we mark that. Anybody who has been keeping an eye on social media or has talked to colleagues of Danny's have expressed their shock and their sadness at his loss, and just how much of a kind of great work colleague that he was, particularly within Melbourne Sports Complex, was a small team and they work really, really well together. And I think one person described it even as nearly like a family, just how close they are, and Danny's loss is being felt by them. So I just want to make a proposal that we write as a council to Danny's family to pass on our sincere condolences and sympathies. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. That's no problem at all. And I know that our Chief Executive Officer is attending the funerals, and he will convey our deepest condolences to the family. Okay. Thank you for that. Second person to contact me is Councillor Emma McGinley.
Mayor, and it's just a brief one, and it's to send good wishes to Gareth Warren, who is a fellow from Craigan, who is currently in Wales competing in an international competition for clay target shooting. So just he's back on the 26th, so we just want to wish him well. Hopefully he does well for us. He's representing Ireland in that competition. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, and we wish him well. Okay. Third person is Alderman Derek Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor. There were two items that had contacted yourself about. The first one was with regard to the former Strabane Grammar School site in Strabane, and councillors from our own area will be aware that recently there was a small fire at the Alexander House within that particular site. And there's growing concern with regard to the Education Authority and the length of time they're taking in coming to the decision reference the D1 disposal of that particular site. All of the elements to go onto the site, I understand, are pretty much there in place. The rugby club are working away. Council have its own suggestions with regard to the wooded area. The Housing Association prepared to move on site. And of course, then there's the retaining of the heritage importance of the Alexander House itself. So could I ask that officers would contact again the Education Authority, urging that they come to their conclusion with regard to the disposal of the site. We all know that particularly with schools, if they lie vacant, they get derelict, people break into them, and the deterioration of the property just increases. We can't let that happen to this important site within Strabane and the Spurn area. It's outside my own area, but I'm well aware of the importance of that site, not just to Strabane, but to the entire whole area around the particular site in question. So I would ask that officers would engage with the Education Authority and emphasise the importance of getting some movement on this particular proposal or project. Thank you, Mayor.
That will be done. Do you want to, is there anybody who will to contribute on that? Yeah, okay, that will be done. Do you want to proceed to your second item?
Thank you again, Mayor. You are well aware, and some others in the chamber may be aware, that this coming October from the 9th to the 15th is designated as Baby Loss Awareness Week. And in the past, I know that council has involved itself with council buildings and lighting pink and blue to recognise that week. In addition with that, Castleberg Park or Castle Park in Castleberg has been added to the illumination programme on that week. And I'm asking that that be again included in the illumination for Baby Loss Awareness Week going forward. Thank you, Mayor.
No problem at all. I think that will definitely be done. Alderman.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in. Alderman Hussey has raised that issue, and that has been other councillors were asked in regards to that as well. But there was an ask, but I think it just can be explored by officers. There was an ask also if there was any way of lighting anyway in the diamond area in the centre of the town, if that can be explored. I just don't know how feasible that'll be, given our lighting situation and the ongoing works that'll be worked in the town. But if that can just be explored, if there's a possibility of doing any type of lighting in the diamond area in the centre of Castleberg. If there's not, we will be content that the castle is included on it. But just, I know the organisers had asked specifically about the castle and about the diamond area.
I'll bring you.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. I subject to checking. I don't think we can do that in the short term, but we can certainly look at it in the medium to longer term, particularly with the works that are underway in the diamond at the moment.
Thank you. And the last item is from Councillor John Boyd.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll keep it brief. Mayor, myself and some of my colleagues were at a funeral this morning. The funeral of the mother of a party colleague of ours and a former Derry City councillor, not Derry and Strabane, but Derry City councillor, Margaret Boyle, not related to me, Mayor. And if I could just request that obviously as her son Liam is a former Derry City councillor, that you might write out to them to offer the condolences of on behalf of all of us, if you could, please. Thank you.
Thank you. And I did go to the wake yesterday, and definitely I'll be delighted to do that. Thank you very much. Councillor Patricia Logue, I didn't receive the email, but it could be just our issues. I will let you come in.
Yeah, I definitely sent an email, but it was on my phone, but I did send it. I pressed send. Well, I even corrected myself this morning because I spelled something wrong on it, and I went back and corrected it. But however, thank you for letting me in. I would just like to congratulate the gas yard on the finishing the new Peacemakers Museum. While I haven't been in it myself, I'm very much looking forward to going and rounding around it. This will certainly up the offer regarding tourism and I suppose inform a lot of people, especially our younger people, of the process from 1972 to the relative peace that we enjoy today. And I would just like to say well done to all involved. As I said, I've had good reports about it. Looking forward to seeing it. And so, yeah, just want to say well done to everybody, and I wish them all continued success with this brilliant museum. Thank you.
Okay, that was short and sweet. Thank you. Okay, that concludes chairperson business. So the next agenda item is confirmation of the open minutes of the meeting of the Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Wednesday, 26 June 2024, pages 5 to 30 for accuracy. Any proposals? Proposals and second is proposed, second? Okay, any matters arising? Okay, Councillor. There's a lot here. Okay. Do you want to go first then?
Thank you,
Councillor
Mayor. Yeah,
Houston?
thanks a million. It's C33524, the implementation of the housing strategy supply, the housing supply strategy, sorry. And it was just to get an opportunity to come in at this point and bring up some issues that I have been hearing from local people in relation to the Affordable Warmth Scheme, which is obviously the initiative through the Housing Executive to make homes more energy efficient and help those in low income households to create that sort of sustainable home where they can save money. One person in particular had been in contact through the week in relation to the application that she had made. It had been accepted, but obviously it has stopped at that point due to the budgetary problems that are happening at the minute. Her boiler is broken and she won't have any heat come the winter if it's not fixed and repaired by then. So I just thought this was a good opportunity at this point to ask Council if we could write to the Housing Executive. We do know that this is a budgetary issue. If they're waiting on a budget to be released, it could be that there's not enough money there to support the 14 million that has been secured for the year 23-24. But just in relation to the people that are out there that have been successful through this scheme, it's to give them answers. Are they going to have their homes, the work done in their homes before the winter approaches, and also as well taking into consideration the net zero targets that we have for 2030. So I just wanted to propose that we write to the Northern Ireland Housing Executive to get a full update in relation to what is happening with that scheme, so that when people do ring us, like they've rang me through the week, we have that answer for them and we have a reassurance for them that we are fighting on their behalf to get their homes up to the standard that they should be. Thank you, Mayor.
Seconder for that? Okay, thank you. Next is Councillor Sean Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor. It's C323/24, Gaza, Joe Kennedy. And I have to say, I thought the response from Joe Kennedy to our letter to him was very disappointing and full of lies, claiming that the American government supports a ceasefire when we know that the American government hasn't relented in its political support for Israel's genocide and for their material support for every weapon that Israel is using to slaughter almost 40,000 people. I just want to get on record that I fundamentally disagree with all the praise that's been heaped on Joe Biden over the last week due to his decision to step down. Joe Biden's not a peacemaker. Joe Biden is a war criminal, and that's plain to see for the vast majority of people across the globe. And that's how he will be remembered in the history books, not as a peacemaker, but as a war criminal. Genocide Joe, that is his name, and that's how he'll be remembered. I do think that it's very important for Council to acknowledge the decision that the International Court of Justice reached over the last week on the study and research and investigation that it was conducting into Israel's annexation, its illegal settlements in Jerusalem and in the West Bank. I think it's very important that Council supports those conclusions in line with our corporate policy, which sees that the root of the troubles in Palestine are the Nakba in 1948, but also in the Israel's annexation and occupation of the West Bank and Gaza. These decisions are very, very important, and I want to propose that we, as a Council, support those proposals. I've sent a proposal to Theresa. I think we need to write to the Stormont Executive, urging them to adopt the support for the position that the International Criminal Court of Justice reached. Also writing to the British government, calling on the British government to adopt and support the findings of the World Court. And with that, it's further reason now for the British government to stop its support for Israel, to stop arming Israel. And I think that this is just further evidence for all those people who want to only talk about October 7th. This is why, this is what Palestinians have been struggling with now for decade after decade after decade. This is the decision of the World Court. So I think we should support it. I also think that the recent study that was released by the Lancet, the medical journal, that up to 200,000 people may have already been killed in Gaza is very, very, very significant, and it's shocking. But even the figure of 40,000 probably doesn't speak to the actual harm that Israel, with the support of the United States and Britain and Germany and the European Union, has done in Gaza. So I think that this is something that the Council should acknowledge, and I would like to propose that we invite in the Derry IPSC to give a presentation on this and on the scale of harm that Israel has now committed in Gaza over the last 10 months. Thank you, Mayor.
Have a seconder for that? Okay. Is everyone happy with that, or is anyone who is going to vote against that proposal? Okay, the show of hands, please. Those who are voting against the proposal or abstaining. Okay, if you're abstaining, would you please indicate you're abstaining? Okay, so 1, 2, 3. 3 abstentions and against? 2, 3, 4, 5 against. Okay. Everybody else is for. Right. Okay. Thank you, members. Okay, the next agenda item is adoption of the open minutes of the following committees. Monthly Planning Committee held on Monday, 8th July 2024, pages 31 to 44 for accuracy, please. Thank you, Councillor Leonard and Kerrigan. And matters arising? Thank you. Okay. Monthly Business and Culture Committee held on Tuesday, 9th July 2024, pages 45 to 62 for accuracy. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Any matters arising? Councillor Hussein? Oh, sorry, Alderman Hussein.
Thank you, Mayor. Page 56, item 121 bar 24, the Foyle Maritime Festival. It's just for information from officers. Has planning begun for next year yet? Thank you.
I think not yet, because it's 2 years' time from now. So they haven't started planning now.
So is there nothing planned for next year at all? It's just going to be every 2 years, even though whether the boats are there or not?
I think it has always been 2 years.
But
Yeah.
like this year doesn't have the boats there, so are we trying to get the boats back again? Or will it be just run as it was run this year, where there is no boats here, but it'll be just run as a normal maritime festival?
I'll bring Stephen to answer that.
Oh, the boats are every 2 years, so they were somewhere else, so they wouldn't possibly be back until 2026. And budget wise, the Maritime Festival has always been on a 2-year cycle. So there will be no Maritime Festival next summer.
We will try again to encourage the boats to come here, right? Okay, thanks.
Any other matters arising? Okay. The next one is Monthly Environmental and Regeneration Committee held on Wednesday, 10th July 2024, pages 63 to 74 for accuracy. Thank you, Alderman Kerrigan. Seconded? Thank you, Councillor Norris. Any matters arising? Alderman Maitland?
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2, if that's okay. So the first one is on ER 18324, just in regards to the greenways. I was contacted by some young people from Strathfoyle who were a bit concerned about dogs on the greenway without leads. Look, I understand the different policies in place, but is there anything at all that can be done, or just even education or on our social media in regards to having control over your pet or your dog when you're on the greenway? We want to see the greenways used, but for someone who maybe has anxiety or a fear of an animal, or for an animal that's overexcited and jumps up on someone, it can be very off-putting for using said greenways. So I just wanted to know if there's anything we can do about that, please.
No problem. I think.
The second point was on ER 19624 in regards to play parks. So I just have two similar but slightly different questions. So the first one was we discussed Cumbercloddy Play Park in the last Environment and Regeneration meeting. I had voiced sincere frustration and disappointment that the play park isn't going to be open in summer. I still am really cross about that, but I was just wondering, is there any update or movement at all? Is there anything can be done in terms of fencing, anything at all? I know that other councillors from the area are sharing the frustration, so I'm just wondering, is there any update on that? And then I've just one final supplement to that.
Through you, Chair, members, officers are continuing to look at that to see if there's anything at all that we can do, and we'll update members as we move along on that. Thank you.
Thank you. And just the final point regarding play parks. I fully appreciate the ROSPA process, all for health and safety. Is there any way moving forward that if a park is going to be closed or equipment is going to be taken, that councillors can find out quicker? The current process is we're finding out as the public are finding out. We're getting several calls and emails. Generally, the public are quite annoyed as if we've personally closed the park, whilst we're sharing their frustration and their annoyance. So if we could find out as and when the decision's made to close, but also as and when the decision's made to open, that would be hugely beneficial for the majority of us that are fielding the calls. Thank you.
I think that's a very valid point you've made. Definitely, I think we should do that. Okay. I have Councillor Gallagher, and then I'll come back to you. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting us in. That's on ER 185/24, Strabane Urban Park. Mayor, firstly, could I thank officers. We've had a number of working groups on this, and to thank officers for the identification of this potential new site for the urban park. And I would call on public of Strabane to engage now in the consultation processes going to take place. I also welcome the fact that we're now moved from the preferred site that was previously council was supporting of Beachmount Avenue. I think that that would have resulted in the loss of a very well-used play park that would have been very much welcomed by the residents. That council has now found a new site. So I think when we're looking at this, this is very much one all over the place. And also, Mayor, just beg your indulgence, a number of years ago, I brought a motion to upgrade Beachmount, and that was put on hold because of the potential of the skateboard park going there, and you couldn't or wouldn't want to be spending money to take it back up again. So the potential that should be put back on the agenda again for the upgrade, because it's in a very bad state. And just on speaking on Melvin, Mayor also brought a motion last year around the floodlighting on Melvin, and I was wondering, is there any update on that? Thank you very much, Mayor, for listening.
Members, just in terms of the floodlighting question, we scoped out some work in 2019 to give an indicative value of the cost of that scheme, and that was presented again to Health and Community, I think possibly at your last meeting. Internally, our capital team have reviewed that based on knowledge secured from the Derg Active project, where we've tendered for similar works. So they have put together an additional cost schedule, indicative programme, and that will form the basis of a paper to go to Capital Working Group for you to then subsequently take decisions on the allocation of capital funds.
Happy with that? Okay. Alderman Jose, please.
You again, Mayor. 183, the Northwest Greenway Network. Members will note that I joined the meeting when that item was nearly completed, which is why I'm bringing this issue now. Again, members in this chamber, and indeed Karen will know from our days in Strabane, it is something that I have constantly asked about, and that is the potential of the ecclesiastical greenway that could run from Ardstraw, the former abbey, through to Loch Derg. And I wonder, within the proposal funding remaining parkways and greenway development funding. Does that include feasibility stroke options with regard to that potential greenway, which, as I say, has been on the agenda, so it was my agenda anyway, within this council and indeed previously within Strabane District Council. I know some initial work had been done on that, but where is it sitting? Is there any possibility that could happen with this development funding? Thank you.
Members, through you, Chair, we did do, as we said, some initial scoping, really looking at that particular route as more of an ecclesiastical trail with signage similar to the joint project that we're doing with Donegal, and we continue to scope that, and we'll look for any opportunity to bring it forward. It's, to my knowledge, it's not currently being looked at to be developed as a formal greenway network with 3 metre wide greenway, because it really, my understanding from this initial scoping is it wouldn't be suitable for that type of development, but certainly we can continue to look at it and look for opportunities as we move forward. Thank you.
I thank Karen for that. And of course, I suppose it depends on your definition of a greenway. And there are certainly some greenways that I don't consider to be greenways when I consider the one from Lifford running on up I think it's the N2 or whatever road it is there. But, you know, the potential for a proper greenway does exist on that ecclesiastical route. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman. And lastly, Alderman McMorris.
Thank you, Mayor. And can I just say, you know, in case I repeat things that people have said, my battery has just died in my hearing aid and I can't hardly hear a thing. But anyway, I just want to say, you know, just carrying on from what Alderman Middleton has said about being notified as quick as possible. I brought it up before where we're actually notifying council of play equipment being removed because of the fact that we weren't notified and we were notified with the public. So that is a really important aspect that we need to be looking at so that we are very mindful and, you know, basically putting that word out there that, you know, that the play equipment is being removed and the reasons why it's been moved. But I also would like an update on where we are with regarding the play parks and regarding the waterside specifically. I brought up before, we have 3, possibly a lot more derelict parks within the waterside area, and two of the play park areas within the Drumahoe area, basically the play equipment was removed, and we've now received another email to say further equipment is going to be removed. What measures is council doing in order to maintain these areas as a community space? And I know there's ambiguity around the 2 Drumahoe parks because of the master park and stuff, and I know there has been conversations. But, you know, the reality is this is council land, and, you know, we may need to have conversations around if it's not going to be a park, if it's not going to be brought back to a park, then we need to look at what plans that we have for them actual areas, you know, because they could be brought onto like picnic areas or walks, or there's different things that we could be looking at. And I really do believe that we should need to be like really addressing, like we have play plan policies and all sorts in place, but yet no, we're seeing time and time again where derelict parks is sitting for years. Ross Downey Park, we're still waiting on the costings for it, and that's been on the agenda for a good while now. You know, the money was passed through council to be looking at that, so I just really want to reiterate, you know what I mean, that is a valuable play park within the waterside, and you know we need to be progressing that forward. Now I know there's other parks across the whole district, do you know what I mean, but we just need to have a plan where, you know, we are looking at the Rossborough report before it even hits the desk. We know exactly what meetings is going to be coming up, you know, because we see it. So we need to have a plan. Either we replace that play equipment before it gets to a stage where it's been removed, or we have master plans put in place and some kind of strategy where we're actually dealing with these play parks before they're left in a state of dereliction for years upon years. Just one other wee point. We had also been contacted regarding scramblers in different areas within our open green spaces. And I know we have an open space policy that we're working on. But I would just like to get a wee update on, you know, where we are with that, and, you know, what mediation that we are to try and address the scrambler and different other things that's been driven on our open green spaces, and how we're going to tackle that. Thank you.
Through you, members, I'm aware that officers have emailed some updates in relation to some of the parks in the waterside. I will ensure we bring a report specifically in relation to the wider play parks in the waterside to the next meeting. And in terms of the scramblers, I have personally been engaging with senior PSNI officers in terms of you know, how we work together and what measures can be put into place in order to tackle that type of antisocial behaviour. And I know the PSNI are fully aware of it and have had a few innovative ways of working over the last number of weeks to try and address it. So we will keep in contact with them and in order to try and address it as best we can. It's not an easy thing, as members know, to deal with, given the you know, we can't close them off totally because we need them for prams and wheelchairs and everything like that. So it isn't easy to deal with, but we have been engaging with senior PSNI officers in order to try and see how we can work together.
Thank you. Councillor Ryan.
Mayor, thanks for bringing me in just to support Alderman McMorris and her comments, and I welcome Karen's response in relation to bringing a paper to the next meeting of the committee. I think this is something that is being picked up by constituents and elected reps across the waterside in relation to when we do take equipment out because it isn't suitable. We find
Councillor
that
Riley, do you want to speak a bit louder? I can see someone struggling. Sorry.
So I was just saying, Mayor, just to thank Alderman McMorris for raising the item, and also to thank Karen for the response that she's given. I look forward to that paper coming to the committee. It is something that elected members across the waterside are getting contacted about, and there is a frustration from members of the public who are seeing equipment in their local area being removed, but they're not aware about why or what the plan is for that space going forward. So as I said, I look forward to hearing from Karen and the team in due course. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, moving on now to monthly health and community committee held on Thursday, 11th July 2024, pages 75 to 92 for accuracy. Okay, Councillor Hussain, seconding. Well, thank you. Any matters arising? Okay, I'll start with Alderman Middleton, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a short one. So it's HC 18224. So I wanted to welcome the community toilet scheme. I think that's a great thing, and I hope that we can get movement in as many areas as possible with it. Just on the toilet thing, I was wondering, as a council, could we publicise the radar keys that are available, the costings, and how you get them for members with disabilities or incontinence? Thank you very much.
Councillor Rory Farrell.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And it's item HC 181, which was the Health Inequalities Annual Report for 2024. And we had a discussion about this at committee, and I think everybody was in agreement that the report, which is published on an annual basis, was shocking. But it clearly demonstrates that there is a clear link and there's a clear correlation between poverty, deprivation, and poor health outcomes. And when you look at the report, it's broken down by trust area, it's broken down by council area, and our council area has the second worst health outcomes across the north. And we are aware that the new Health Minister, Mike Nesbitt, has a Live Better initiative which seeks to tackle these inequalities. And he has announced that he's going to have a pilot in 2 specific areas across the north, which he hasn't told us where they're going to be. At the committee, I made the argument that because Derry and Strabane has such poor health outcomes, that one of those locations should be located in this city and district. I didn't make a formal proposal, but I'm going to do it now. So we want to formalise this. We want to write to the minister to say the health inequalities report demonstrates clearly that health outcomes across this city and district are poor. They're the second worst in the north. And we welcome the Live Better initiative. We welcome that there's going to be a pilot in 2 specific areas, but one of them needs to be here in this council area. So Teresa has it on the screen. I think it's short and sweet. We're just making the argument that one of those pilot areas should be somewhere in this council area. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to second that. Is there anyone who will want to speak on that motion?
Mayor, could the writing be made bigger? I can't see it at all. I can't see the motion at all. Could the writing be made bigger, please? Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Jackson.
Okay, Mayor, and I suppose we're supportive of the proposal, but we are an understanding that the decision's already been made and that that one of the pilots is indeed within this council area, but it does no harm to send a letter to recommit that request, but it is our understanding that the decision on this has been made and this council is included in the pilot. Thanks, Mayor.
Anyone else? Okay, Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I agree. I think the health inequalities report was shocking, and it's shocking for our district. And I think that the relationship between wealth and poor health is well established in the document. And I think we would welcome any initiatives that's going to help to address that. So we don't oppose the proposal for a pilot scheme to exist here. We would like to see more of the details of how that will work. But I am concerned about some of the comments that the new health minister made about Professor Bengoa's work, because he seems to think that that is the way forward for the reform of our health system. I want to just get it on record that many campaigning groups that are aiming to save the health service, many trade unions, opposed many of the proposals that in the Bengoa report on the basis that they would actually reduce access to healthcare across the north. We need to go in the opposite direction. And what we need is a huge infusion of funding to the health service, not services on the basis that this is the only way that we're going to deal with a mounting health crisis. So we just wanted to support the proposal, but also add some caution about the path that the minister is laying before us. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Harkin, did you have another item you wanted to talk about? Yeah, I'll bring you in now.
Thank you, Mayor. It's HC 172/24. And look, the Trussell Trust and the Foyle Network Foundation, when they came in and did their presentation to us, underlined the scale of child poverty and poverty in our district and across the north. And I think many of us were hopeful that with the Tories so badly defeated in the Westminster election and a new government coming in promising change, that we would see that begin to happen immediately. And that's why I think the vote last night in Westminster was alarming, shocking, disappointing, when a majority of MPs voted to keep the 2-child limit component of universal credit in place rather than agreeing to abolish it. And of course, we know that this is something that the Prime Minister, the new Prime Minister, had previously supported In fact, it was one of his pledges to his own members, and he has only recently concluded that that's not going to happen. I commend everybody that voted to scrap and abolish the two-child limit. I think that this has been one of the main issues that child poverty groups and anti-poverty groups across the north and across these islands have campaigned on for a number of years. It is tied in with a whole series of Tory policies that have caused tremendous harm and have led to extreme levels of poverty in our own communities and beyond. And I think this council should take the opportunity to condemn and express our frustration at the failure of the British government and Keir Starmer not to overturn the two-child limit when it had the opportunity last night. I think it's incumbent on the council, given the focus that we've had and the many discussions we've had, and the way in which so many organisations, community groups, child poverty groups have outlined their concerns at the escalating levels of child poverty across our society, that we take this opportunity to call on the Prime Minister to immediately reverse his position and back legislation that will see the two-child limit abolished, scrapped, as a first step to take an action on the deep, deep levels of child poverty here in our district. We know across Foyle that there are almost 900 households that are impacted by the two-child limit. Families that have a third or more children lose out on almost £3,500 every year because of this cruel and draconian policy. And there are 40,000 children right across the north living in households that are directly impacted by this policy. So look, I've sent a very straightforward proposal to Theresa, and I would like to ask members to support it today. Thank you, Mayor.
Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor McDade. Councillor McDade, you wanted to talk on that? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Harkin for raising this. I think a few months ago I brought a motion to this council calling for us to write to Stormont, because it's actually within the gift in Stormont for them to abolish it here as well. So I think it's really important that we keep this on the agenda and keep pushing it. So I'm delighted to see that we're going to be sending this letter. I know that in the vote last night, the Foyle MP, Colin Eastwood, he was actually a signatory on the amendment. Not only did he vote for it, but he actually co-signed it. So I think within Foyle, we have a voice there pushing. Sean's right. The number of children in poverty in this area is just second to none. I met with Karen from Foyle Food Bank last week, and it's just devastating to hear. And we know that the two-child limit is the trigger on this. We know that this is the biggest push on it, so we need to get rid of it. It's unfair. It's just draconian, and we just need to do everything we can. So I'm delighted to see this, and we're happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Middleton, Alderman Middleton, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Harkin for bringing forward the motion. If there's one thing I care most about in the whole world, it is children. I would say most of us are the same. I just wanted to welcome the motion. Our DUP MPs voted for the amendment also. I think it's disgrace that it didn't go through. And just to put on record that our Communities Minister, Gordon Lyons, MLA, is working actively on strategies and mechanisms that he is able to put in place in a devolved context to bring forward anti-poverty strategies. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Jackson?
Thank you, Mayor. I suppose, well, we've no issue with the proposal, but what has been demonstrated here is that there's, regardless of anybody from this part of the world taking part in the British the British House of Parliament, they have no impact whatsoever. It's been well rehearsed in chambers right across the north. The impact that the two-child policy limit is having on people here, it's devastating, and it is disingenuous to say that Stormont has the ability and power to abolish it. for Stormont, they do that would mean the introduction of a completely new welfare system that only applies here, which would encompass the entire block grant. So we would have all our public services grinding to a halt. We would have schools closing, hospitals closing. For us, they introduce and implement our own welfare system here in the north. So this is a policy that's been driven by a British Tory party. It's been allowed to continue by a Labour Party, and it's very clear that no matter how many MPs that are returned from this part of the world who claim to have influence in the British House of Parliament, there is absolutely nobody cares about the views of the people here in that House of Parliament. So if we're going to have real change, if we're going to see an end to this two-child limit, or if we're going to see an end to cruel Tory policies, we need to break a connection with Westminster altogether. And that's something that hopefully we're going to continue to build and build momentum towards. So in relation to the proposals in front of us, we've no issue with it. But if our MP, if the British government don't listen to the MPs that take part in their parliament, they're not listening to us as a council. So the only tangible impact that we can take is to break the connection with Westminster altogether. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Can I ask now if there is anyone who is voting against that proposal? Unanimous? Thank you very much. Okay, I think I have a last person, Alderman Hussein. You wanted to bring something up in that item? Derek?
Have we moved on? Thank you, Mayor.
Can commuters?
My apology. Page 82, 173, it's the Victoria Bridge Community Hub, but it's not referenced Victoria Bridge Community Hub. It's referenced in the second last paragraph there, Archstraw Community Playgroup. And I simply want to thank officers who have commenced that engagement, in particular Susan Doherty, who has made contact with the group, and I'm very grateful that that has actually happened, Mayor. So I wanted that recorded. The other item that I wanted to raise was under 182. I think it's 182, and that's the community toilet scheme. Within that, in tandem, in the second paragraph, in tandem actively pursues the provision of new toilet or public conveniences in the town. The last Derek Active meeting that we had, it was suggested that there may be a route to resolution of this particular issue. Can that be confirmed? Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, we've got a cross-directorate meeting on the 22nd of August to look at all aspects of public convenience provision, including the community toilet scheme and where other needs arise in relation to facilities in play parks or indeed outdoor recreation sites. So obviously there's a specific funding programme, and we again are liaising with funders regarding the scope available to us potentially within that held budget fund.
Mayor, can I welcome that? It's been a bone of contention for many in our community for a long time, and hopefully we are now beginning to plot a route to solve the issue. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on now to monthly governance and strategic planning committee held on Monday, 15th July 2024. For accuracy, Alderman Cook, Alderman Wilkinson. Any matters arising? Okay, Alderman Cook.
It's Mayor for let me in. It's GSP 13824, and it's just for accuracy. In Governance and Strategic Planning Committee, I raised the question of engagement, with the PEL community in regards to constitutional change. And the response that I received stated that engagement had happened with the specific groups. And After committee, whenever I went home, I received a phone call from a member of one of the groups mentioned. They state that no one has ever contacted them in regards to constitutional change. So I just wanted to note that. Thank you.
Ellen, can I bring you to clarify that, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And absolutely agree with Councillor or Alderman Cook there. Reference was made about the engagement process. And in fact, I answered you regarding the language working group and not the constitutional change working group. The engagement process to date for the constitutional change working group has initially been via a public consultation. And there are now plans as well to do targeted consultations with stakeholder groups. So apologies for any confusion caused. Thank you.
Any other matters arising? Alderman Jose?
Thank you for that, Mayor. And like Councillor Alderman Cook, I have been contacted, and I believe others were as well, and I welcome that clarification. I just want to again state that the proposal I oppose. It's a proposal from committee. Item 1, there isn't a problem with that. It's items 2 and 3, which incur additional expenditure by this council on this particular interest group or working group. I object to my rates as a ratepayer, a homeowner, and a business person in the area. I object to my rates being used on this particular item and want that recorded. Thank you.
Thank you. That will be recorded. Alderman McMorris?
Thank you, Mayor. And this is just a comment. I was reading through the basically the minutes of that directive for the meeting, and it was just in regards to the mayor's literature. I know that on that there it was Irish, English and Arabic. And I just wanted to put my comments on board that we have a trilingual policy here within council. Now, it probably is your right to put whatever you want on, and I'm not disputing that or whatever. But I just wanted to make the comment that basically, you know, whenever we're deviating off our own policies, then, you know, you're going into uncharted territory where people can use it for political statements and all sorts. And I just wanted to reflect that opinion back to yourself, you know, when you're making the decision of what you're putting on. You know, we have Polish, which is the next largest language within our city and district, you know, and to bypass all of them other ethnic minorities and stuff to pinpoint one language over all others, you know, I just think that it's just a wee bit distasteful to the other people within our community and district, but I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you, and I take your comment on board. I do have the discretion to choose which language I include on my correspondence. I haven't come across any Polish person who told me they don't understand English in this city and district, but I have come across hundreds of Arabic people, and I want to make sure that they are engaged, but I take your comment on board. Any other matters arising? Okay, moving on. Bi-monthly Assurance, Audit and Risk Committee held on Tuesday, 16th July 2014, pages 93 to 96 for accuracy. Thank you, Alderman Carrigan. Any second up? Thank you, Councillor Leonard. Any matters arising? Hold on.
Chair. And Chair, this just falls on nicely from the previous where people were concerned about ratepayers' money. It's good to see Ulster Unionists and the DUP concerned about squandering ratepayers' money. However, I don't see it that way, and I'd like to thank you for your inclusivity for all those who have made this city and district their home. What I want to ask is that in the interests of openness and transparency and the duty to ratepayers, I have put a proposal that we bring item 11E into open business, and that we should, in the interest of openness and transparency, deal with it now. Because, you know, as this council has already spent £27,000 and is proposing to spend another £46,000, I believe this level of public spending needs to be discussed in open business. I think ratepayers have a right to know what we're spending their money on. And sensitive aspects of this case can remain in confidential business. I think this case, if a cursory look at it will see that it is disgraceful the way it's being handled. In fact, I've been trying to get correspondence that this council has sent to Gregory Jones for our members, and it has only come in at 2:15 today. As everybody knows, Jones is key to this, but Jones takes no issue with the highly irregular and suspicious practice of officers not keeping records of at least 6 meetings they held to discuss the serious concerns outlined in this report. Surely now it's time for officers to enlighten members of what they understood the hard
Point of order.
Point of order. I was coming in. Can I just ask, first of all, for a seconder on that, and then we can have a conversation?
Sorry,
Thank
point of
you.
order. Mayor,
Thank
genuinely,
you.
if it's a
Go
point of
ahead,
order,
go
I'll
ahead.
take to come in now.
Go ahead.
We're straying into the territory of confidential business here already with Councillor Donnelly. And I think he needs to bear all of that in mind, that some of what he's already talked about is in confidential business, and I don't think that appropriate, Mayor. If he wants to put this forward to this meeting, that's fine, but that has to be it for now, and let the meeting decide whether we do that or we don't do that.
Chair, I don't understand how Councillor Boyd can set the rules here and decides who can say what, and that's.
It's a simple point of order. Councillor Donnelly understands.
Order. Can I just say,
insulting.
I'm chairing this meeting, so can I please ask that we respect that there is sensitive matters in that paper, that we need members to first of all discuss about that before we discuss about the sensitive matters. Please bear in mind on that. So can I ask, are members going to allow this paper to vote for this motion first of all?
Mayor, can I finish off on why my reasons for I think that
No,
this
but
should be
it's
discussed?
part of the confidential.
Yeah, I haven't said, there's nothing being said, what the attitude of Councillor Boyle, like the attitude of officers, including officers, it's leading the suspicions of gaslighting. And if we endorse this, Chair, this council's reputation, the damage to it will be immense. And that's why we need to be as open and transparent as possible. Because there's people in here who said they've seen the evidence dismantled, but they have never yet produced. Even Councillor Boyle says he examined the evidence that was produced and then evidence that wasn't produced. That's in the minutes that we just endorsed. What's the evidence that wasn't produced?
Councillor Donnelly, I hear you, and I think we do know why this issue is sensitive. It's at its core, it's about staffing. So I would like members to make a decision right now before we get into that conversation. All right, go ahead.
Mayor, just to outline that, well, our view on this is that it should stay confidential, and it's very straightforward reason for so, and that is that it actually does relate to members of staff who work for this city and district council, people who we have a duty of care to. And therefore, we wouldn't see it as in any way fair if we were to be discussing their private, personal, professional business in open business. So just to put it down as a marker, we'll not be supporting this. We will not be supporting it in any way, shape or form. These are matters that are confidential, and confidential for a very good reason, as I've just outlined.
Thank you. Councillor Fleming.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Regardless of how strongly any member of this council feels on a given matter, we as a council have a responsibility to protect the rights of our council workers. On that basis, Sinn Féin will not be accommodating the whims of Councillor Donnelly, and we will be opposing this proposal that would infringe upon the rights of our council employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor. And I think that went well beyond points of order there. I think people are now discussing whether or not they support Councillor Donnelly's proposal. and I don't think that this is a whim. I think Councillor Donnelly is a whistleblower and is actually shouldn't be referred to as whimsical in the council chamber. I think that is, I think people need to be careful about how they discuss issues when there's whistleblowing involved. And this council's corporate position that was voted on and backed by all the parties in here allows Councillor Donnelly to participate in this discussion as a whistleblower. And we've brought lots of issues out of confidential into the public domain, and we've been careful about more sensitive issues, meaning they haven't been discussed. And I think that there is issues here that there should be publicly discussed. We've spent £26,000. We're proposing to spend another £46,000. There are people saying in the council that we think that that's going to be a waste of time, waste of ratepayers' money, because it's not
Councillor Harkin, I think you're getting,
the facts.
Councillor Harkin, you're getting into the issues that are sensitive on this matter, and I would like members to make a decision before we can have that conversation.
You, Mayor, for allowing me in. Just as concurred with other speakers, Councillor Boyle and Councillor Fleming there, we feel that this is a staffing issue and that it is best dealt in confidential, and we will not support the motion to bring it out of confidential. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any other member who would like to contribute on this? Okay, can I ask on a show of hand, everyone who is voting for this motion? I think it's clear. And just the show of hands who is voting against this motion. Thank you. Proposal falls. Okay, moving on to, where are we now? Proposal for confidential. Yeah, okay. Okay, we're now moving on to confidential. Can I ask for a proposer? Seconder, thank you.